Hello and welcome. I've been requested to make a video on how to make video games from the beginner level. So I decided I'm going to make a multi-video course on how to go from knowing absolutely nothing about game creation to having a completed game. This is going to be a pre-beginner video, so it's going to be on where to get your software and anything else you might need. And then later on we'll get into actually beginner and how to, go step by step in making it. So let's get started. I personally use Unreal Engine 4, as do many people. This is because, number one, it is beginner friendly. Number two, you don't need to know how to code. If you do know how to code, it will help you, but if you don't, it is still a very viable option. So the best way to go about getting Unreal Engine 4 is go to your search engine. I mean, everybody's search engine of choice, right? And type in Unreal Engine 4. And then I'm not going to click the ad because there's no reason for them to pay Google. We'll go to unrealengine.com right here. And then once we're here, just go to download at the very top right here. And then they have two different licenses. We're going to use the publishing license, as this is for creators if you wanted to create a video game or anything you wanted to release in the future. Don't worry, it is still free to use for the development. You only have to pay them the royalties if you make over $1 million in a quarter. Well, excuse me, $1 million over the lifetime of your product. So we're going to click download now. And I've already have it downloaded, but this is the Epic Engine installer, or the Epic installer. So download it, and then once you have downloaded it, you can watch their video on how to install the Unreal Engine. It will come up with the Epic launcher. You will have to create an account. And let's see, I'm waiting for mine to come up here, but you will have to create an account with the Epic launcher, and once you do, you will have many options. You may already have the Epic launcher if you play games like Fortnite or anything else that they have produced, and any of their games are also on here. So this is the Epic launcher. I'm under the Unreal Engine section. Let's go ahead and expand this a little bit, fill up the screen. I'm under the Unreal Engine. It may look a little different if when you first sign in, it might look like something like this, where you're going to look for games that you have. It's going to look for, and they're going to try and sell you games and all that. This is for their competition to Steam as well. But go to Unreal Engine, and then when you go to Engine, you can click Launch if you have it installed, which if this is the case, then go ahead and launch it, and we'll get into that later. But for now, we're going to go to Library, and then you won't have anything right here. This will be empty. So you're going to add new engine version, click the plus, and do the newest version. Newest version currently, as of this video, is 4.26.2. This is the newest one, so this is one I'm going to be working with. If you have an older one, I suggest updating it unless you're working on a project where you're worried it would break the project. So once you have it installed, it will take some time. Then you'll be able to click Launch. So go ahead, pause the video, and then install it. When you have it installed, let's restart the video. So once you're back, we're going to click Launch, and it's going to come up with a new Unreal Editor. And then these are projects that I'm currently working on. Some are just experiments. Some I'm kind of trying to see how they operate when Epic makes a game or when somebody else does. So like right here is a good example on some of the more advanced stuff that Epic has been working on. But we can start a new project. So we're going to go to Games and Next. So if you know what kind of game you'd like to make, you click on the type that's most you can either start from a complete blank template with nothing in it, or if you know one that's similar to a game you're trying to make, like first-person shooter, some type of flying game, a 2D side-scroller. In my case, I think I'm going to make a twin-stick shooter for this series because that sounds pretty interesting to me. So I'm going to create twin-stick shooter because that'll be similar to what I'm going to want to use. So it'll have a lot of pre-built stuff that'll get us started. Click Next. I'm going to use Blueprint only for this video, so there'll be no coding involved in this. I'll do my best to keep it all Blueprint. Maximum quality is fine. We can change that later. Same with the ray tracing can all be changed later, as well as your target platform if you're making one for a phone or game. That can all be changed later when you're packaging. I am going to suggest leaving starter content on for this video, so we'll have some common content for it. And this is going to be starter twin stick shooter. Twin stick shooter is going to be our project here. I'm going to create project, and it'll take a couple minutes for it to be able to launch. Sorry, it's off on the screen here. My video screen recorder is a little off. So this is what it gives us, and as you can see, we have something that is functional. So it might not be twin stick shooter because I am on a PC. If I had a controller, this would be pretty good for that. But it is functional. So I'm going to press escape to get out, and then this is the basic UI for Unreal Engine. So now that you have Unreal Engine installed, you're able to create any of these packages or any game you'd like. But this will let us play around with this so you can kind of explore how they do it. To get started, just kind of show you what's we're looking at here. So this main viewport is how you explore your world. You'll have a list over here of all the items in your world. So if I wanted to click this cube right here, say it's this one right there. Now I can move it around using the little handles here. If I wanted this cube, I can move that one around. As you can see, that it's pretty easy to find stuff around in the level. To create new things in this level, if I wanted a new cube, over here is the primitive, so I can just drag in new cube. It doesn't have the same material that the other one does, but that's okay. I'm just showing you that you can drag stuff in. So the stuff where you're going to make content for your game, where you're going to change this, is going to be in the content browser. This is going to be a map of all of the content that you have for your game. So you got a folder for starter content. So I'm going to go up to content. So this is all the folder map for everything in this game. So the starter content comes with a lot of stuff. We have audio, we've got some blueprints, materials, some particles. We're going to back up to our content folder and the twin stick shooter here. It says some meshes. This is where the ship is. So if we wanted to change the color, we could just go into the material instance and change the color. Well, let's make him red. Well, it's kind of a purpley red, darker red. There we go. So now he's going to be red. As you can see, he changed in the game world already. So, but in the content browser is very useful because this is where everything's going to be. So we're going to go to our twin stick blueprint. I'm going to go to blueprints here, and this is this guy right here. So this is the blueprint of him right here. So this is the same thing. So we can go into the blueprint, and this is how you program your game. So yes, it's blueprint scripting. They don't call it programming. I mean, they could. There's no reason you can't because it is still a programming code. This is built on top of the C++ code that is in the engine, but it's a visual way of doing it. So just a brief run through, we can show you kind of what's going on here. So tick right here is every frame of the game. It's going to run this. So it's going to go left to right. It's going to go follow the pins. First in this sequence is going to execute 0. And it'll go along this. And it's going to do a branch, which is checking to see if this is true or false. If it's true, it's going to set the world rotation. And then the actor offset, which is rotating the actor around. And then this is handling collisions. So you can see they put some notes on it. And then this is adding the world offset for it. So this is moving the that little ship thing around. And then this is firing in the direction that you want to fire. I'm not sure. Let's see, fire shot here. They have, so the function calls fire shot, and then it goes can fire to, so you can set it so you can or cannot, depending if you had ammunition or a problem or in a menu or whatever. So if it can fire, it goes here, and it makes sure that you're not shooting yourself because the vector length is more than 0. And it goes along, and it spawns a projectile, and it continues. It plays a sound, and it ends the can fire by timer. So the event graph is where you work most of your, like the primary graph for any actor or blueprint. Then you can create new functions, which is what these are. And if you need to, you can always find them on the left-hand side here. So the main area you work in is the blueprint area, but if you need to find a function or create a variable, they're all right here on the left-hand side of mine. You can move this around if I wanted to. I can put it on the right-hand side or have it a floating window. I prefer it on the left myself. So it's easier to find for me. It'll always be on this left if you're looking at it. And I believe that's the engine default as well. So if you're looking for any of your stuff, so if I needed to find, get rate of fire here, and I can set the stuff. If you're wondering where you are referencing it in your blueprint because you have an error, you're trying to find it, you can always right click on any of the variables and find references, and then it'll come up with references, and then I can just double click that and it'll go right to it. However, one thing to note about finding references, it only does it for your active blueprint. If you're pulling this up from a different blueprint, it won't find that reference. It'll only find the ones from this particular blueprint class. So then our primary project settings, we will get into later. This is not going to do that. Our game mode is what is telling the engine what actors to spawn and everything. Right now we haven't set anything up. It's all set default. We're going to leave it that way as well. So I would suggest playing around with it, seeing what you can and can't do. Let's do one thing real quick. I'm not sure what they have for fire here. Oh, so let's go into their blueprint. And I don't see, let's see, fire shot. Okay, event graph. Fire shot is here on event tick. Huh. Okay. So, why can we not fire a shot here? So if you want to figure out what's going on with something, it's you can always play. That's going to be a little off the screen for you, but it's not what I wanted to show you. So I have it playing. You can see the lines here. This is where it's executing. So right now it can fire, yes. The vector length is not greater than 0, so it is currently failing at false there. So I'm wondering where it gets this information for the gun offset and everything. Ah, got it. Because I'm on a keyboard, it doesn't. Okay, so I'll bring it up here, so I'll do that again so you can see it. So I'm in the game. I'm using the WSAD key to move around. They have it set up for the arrow keys to fire the gun. And as you can see, they have physics on their boxes here. The box I spawned in earlier doesn't have anything, so it just sits there. The controls were a little funky. I apologize. This is set up for a twin stick shooter. It's a little different on the keyboard. So it has this set up somewhere for the fire shot. I'm trying to figure out where that is. Oh, get fire forward. That's going to be it right there. So if I want to see that, I can. Oh, it's a C++. So that's one they have set up. I'm guessing in the project. Nope, not plugins. Excuse me. I'm guessing I have it set up in the project settings under inputs. So inputs, and then it's going to be access mapping, move forward, and fire forward and right. So that's where it's at. So that's why they have it set left and right buttons, and fire forward and up and down. So that's where that's coming from. So it says it gets fired forward. So as long as it's not 0, it's going to fire, which is what we saw here. So as soon as you press it, it becomes 1, and then it continues on and fires in the direction that it's being told through here, through the blueprint. So that makes a lot of sense now. I figured out with the keys. So we'll do something simple here real quick. So I told you, these boxes right here, we're able to get shot around, it's because it enables physics right here, simulated physics, whereas the one I spawned doesn't. So now if I click simulated physics and press play, we can go up and we can shoot it. Whereas before, if you remember, it didn't work. So that's a pretty simple thing to do right there. So let's take this cube. We're going to delete him. We're going to create, this will be the last thing we do on this video, just to kind of show you how to do things, and then I want you to play around with an experiment before the next video. So then we're going to go to, we're going to create, I right click here in the content browser. I'm going to create blueprint class. I'm going to click on actor because this is going to be the parent class, and actor is kind of parent of almost everything in the world. Object is a parent of an actor, and then actor is parent of just about everything else. So then it's going to come up with a blueprint here. I'm going to name this my cube. Excuse me, my cube BP. It's kind of notation to understand that it's for a blueprint, even though that they're all going to be blueprints here. So it's going to come up with this. There's currently nothing in this at all. It wouldn't do anything. We bring it in the world, and it's not going to do anything. Here's the blueprint for it, for the event graph and the construction script. So the construction script on any actor runs when it's created or changed even in the editor. The event graph only runs at begin play or on tick or when you tell it to run. It doesn't run before gameplay. So we're going to go to event graph. Actually, I take it back. Sorry, we're going to go to viewport, and this is what the actor looks like. These little balls are the default scene root, so it's the default thing that you won't see that in the world unless you tell it to see it. It's hidden. Well, actually, even that's just hidden anyway, even though it says to show it. But I'm going to add a component. We're going to add a cube. So now this becomes what you would see. I'm going to compile. You always have to compile, but it lets the engine run the code through the blueprint and know what it needs to be there. And now we're going to drag our mycube into the world. Well, he's a little high. So we're going to drag it in the world. We'll be able to see him right there. Again, no physics. So we're going to go back into our mycube blueprint. I'm going to click on the mycube actor, and we are going to find physics. Excuse me, it's going to be under the cube, the static mesh that we created. So this is the static mesh component. And we're going to simulate physics with this. So yeah, we can now shoot our cube we just made. So what's the advantage of doing this in a blueprint as opposed to just dragging in a cube on that? Well, most of the time you're not going to just want a cube. You're going to want to create something a little bit more complex than a cube. As well as now we have control over what happens with this. So we can create an event begin play and, oh, excuse me, not event begin play. We're going to do event hit. So typing in event hit. So events are colored red. They are usually the beginning of a event, and they start a chain of events that you create in the blueprint. So you go left to right, and the events are usually going to be on the left. And it'll go left to right. So event hit. If this box is hit, we are going to destroy. D-S-T-R-O-Y. Destroy actor. So this is a target to itself, so it's going to destroy itself. But before it does, what we're going to do is we're going to spawn a emitter of particles. So we're going to type in spawn emitter at location. So we're going to get our location. We're going to probably want to delay on this just to make sure we're not destroying it too quick. A 0.2 second delay is not noticeable by a person, but it lets the computer calculate quite a bit in that 0.2 seconds. So we're going to wait 2.2 seconds, then destroy the actor. which in this case the actor is this cube blueprint that we're making. We're going to spawn an emitter at this location. So we need to get actor location, and then we're going to connect that up to location. And now the emitter we're going to do, because we had all the beginner starter content, we do have a particle explosion right here. So we're going to click particle explosion, and we're going to connect that up. So now this should work. We're going to go to play. We're going to come up to our box, and we're going to shoot it. And it explodes. So you see the other boxes don't explode, but that's a little, needs a little bit more to it, because it had the particles. Let's do one more thing. So we're going to do play sound at location. And again, we're going to take the same location and plug it up, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So we're playing the sound when we spawn the explosion. And then the sound, we are going to search for, well, we don't even need to search for it. It's going to be explosion sound wave. You should want to use a sound cue, so we're going to play explosion sound cue. And now we'll go back, we'll compile and play. So now let's see what happens. Oh, you couldn't hear us talking over it. Here, we'll do it one more time. So you got the explosion, you can push some boxes around, and we'll do anything else in the next video, the following videos. So this is a very brief course. I'll do a brief summary real quick. So when you want to create a video game, if you want to follow along with this course, you need to go to unrealengine.com and download Unreal Engine. You can follow their steps right here on how to install the engine. Once you install the engine, you're going to launch the engine here in their launcher. We're going to create a new blueprint, and we're going to create a twin stick shooter blueprint, twin stick shooter game blueprint. It'll come up with a basic level that you'll be able to play around with and mess with the content. Remember, if you want to create any blueprints or anything else for that matter, you'll be in your content browser where you want to create it. So I'm in the content browser, twin stick blueprint folder. If you want to create anything in here, I would right click and then have a whole list of everything I can create, or go to blueprint class, and you can even search for far more blueprint classes to create here, which there's a lot here that we don't need to get into. When you're in the blueprints, everything functions from left to right. To move around the blueprint, I don't think I covered, you hold in the right mouse button and you can pan the blueprint around. If you want to select, it's left click. And then if you wanted to create a new node, you just right click and search for the node, print screen, or print string, excuse me. That kind of stuff. So you can create all your nodes that way, and that comes up. You can also, if you saw other nodes, if I decided I needed to do something that has this check fire thing, and I didn't want to create a function for it for whatever reason, maybe I was doing something different, I just needed nodes for shorthand for quick purposes, I can copy them. So I highlight them by left clicking and dragging, then Control C and Control V, and it pops right back up. So, or take all of them and delete them. So this should be a brief rundown. If you need anything else, hopefully the next video will cover it. Please let me know if you need any other, if I missed something in this video. This is the first pre-beginner video I've done, so I hope I'm not missing any basic stuff or anything that, something critical for you to be able to do. I know it's really quick, but you can't hurt it. Just go ahead, open it up, play around with the blueprints, see what you can do. There's a ton of resources out there, and feel free to play around and see what you can come up with. And in the next video, we'll come up with a game plan on what we're going to make this video like. There has been a request to make a wizard type fighting game. So I think what we'll end up doing is having a wizard run around with some other, minions chasing us, and we'll have to throw lightning bolts at them or something. I don't know yet. However, we will get to that. Right now, play around with this. One last thing, I suppose, before I go, is in the on Epic Launcher, you'll have a marketplace. Now, yes, they want to sell you a lot of different add-ons for the engine and a lot of different content that you can use to make stuff. However, they have a ton of free content. In fact, one of the things we will be using if we do this, wizard theme uh, that have been requested, is we're going to go to this free content right here. We're going to go to Marketplace Collection, and all of this is free. But there's some in particular that we will use is these characters right here from the Paragon video game. They are high quality characters, and some of them are they're all very good, and they come with animations, they come with the skeleton, they come with audio, they come with everything, they come with skins. So we'll be using these for it. It just as this speeds up the development process, it'll let us be able to have a little bit more visual differences than just that little ship flying around. So we will be using that, but that will be for a future video. For now, play around with the engine, get used to it, get familiar with kind of where everything is. You can't hurt it. You can always delete a project and restart. So you could go to your library and you can click on the project, right click on it and delete, and it gets rid of it. No issues. And then you just create a new project and start over. You can always start over with one of those basic contents. So until then, feel free to play around, or please play around with it, and good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.